Warning, this podcast contains spoilers. Warning, this podcast contains spoilers. Hello. This is 3D or 2D.com's The 3D Show.
It came from the third dimension.
As always, I'm your host, Adolf Vega, and with me is...
James Tate.
Put on your 3D glasses now. 3D glasses not included.
And if you're wondering what the 3Ds are in the 3D show, well, they stand for discussion, debate, and the news. I will not be talking about
Disney ruined Star Wars.
and or
The Bears.
or
De Beers.
but we will probably talk about
Avengers.
and
Mario.
I do hope you enjoyed the show. The show, get it?
All right, welcome to episode 50. It's the 50th show. Woo! So, yeah, I can't believe we've been for 50 episodes of this. It's crazy because it's like the time goes by so fast. I know, right? It just feels like it was like not that long ago we did the first episode that was like 3 hours long. Yeah. Yeah. So we got a ton to talk about, a ton. We didn't record last week, and so now we got a whole bunch. So what do you want to start with first?
Well, how about we start with some DC news? So apparently we have some new images for Justice League, and I could correct me if I'm wrong, Justice League, and it's showing off Computer Gordon.
Yes, it's a black and white picture that literally just popped up this weekend as we're recording. We're recording this on September, what is today? 18th.
19th. Yeah, 18th, yeah.
So it just popped up, I think it was yesterday or very late Friday. So it looks really good. You know, it's a very zoomed out picture, and it's black and white, so it's not really the fair representation. But if you kind of, zoom into it and get a good sense of, it looks like being Commissioner Gordon, looks fine. It's very artistic and looks nice. I like it.
Yeah, and it's good promotional. I mean, more suited for, like, you think of a Batman standalone film, but yeah. And then also, interestingly, we have images of his an alternative Batman costume.
Yes. So it is, I guess, considered the tactical gear. So people have been commenting about this. It looks a lot like Owl from Watchmen, with the goggles part, and how, I guess Batman wants to have more power, powerful suits, since everyone else he's fighting with is superpowered except for him. So I don't know if he's going to start off with this suit, or if he's going to, end with this suit on, or what, That's cool. I like it. What do you think?
I think it looks neat. I mean, I think that's one thing that they kind of underplayed in the rest of the Batman films, is that Batman has a lot of different suits.
Yeah, and it's also good for toys. They're going to do this.
Yeah.
Let's not play around. They want to have multiple versions of the characters, and it makes sense story-wise. Maybe he gets his suit tore up or something after a fight, with something in Justice League, and the goggles, make somewhat sense. They kind of had goggles in Dark Knight. Remember the whole Batvision thing, and And this picture, James, I gave you an edited version. The picture that was originally out there that Zack Snyder put out was incredibly dark. I had to go up there and brighten it up all the way on the phone because you could barely see Batman here. I mean, I know it's supposed to be dark, but, I mean, come on. You can't even see it. So it's like one of those, it really is. Like, it's one of those editorial things. It's like, do you edit that picture or not when you're reposting it, or do you just, retweet it? And I was like, no, you can barely see it. I'm going to at least clean it up, put the brightness up. I'm not going to dramatically alter it, but I mean, at least you can see what it's about. So, yeah, I'm fine with this. I have no problem with this, really. You know, it makes sense.
And another DC news is that Deathstroke is actually an official character now.
So yes, we talked about this before. We weren't really sure the context of it, and they officially made announcement that the True Blood character actor Joe Manganiello, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, is going to be playing Deathstroke in a solo Batman movie. So that's confirmation of that. First, do you know this actor or no?
No, but I don't know if Deathstroke is what movie he's going to be in.
Yeah, so it's confirmed to be Batman, the Batman solo movie.
So he's going to be fighting Deathstroke, maybe?
Yeah. So Batman versus Deathstroke, and we'll see how that works out. Deathstroke actually being a metahuman, like we said before. He has the abilities, you know, of the super serum, and he has super abilities. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that actually works out. If they're going to have anything there in, you know, directly related to Joker or anything else, it might be, you know.
You know, we also have news for the Harley Quinn movie, and one thing that I'm kind of wondering about is, why make a Harley Quinn movie when you can make a Joker movie?
Yeah, so Margot Robbie, which played Harley Quinn in Justice and Suicide Squad, she is now going to be executive producer of her own Harley Quinn movie, which is, you know, kind of amazing because I don't think she's ever done anything like that before. You know, she's been an actress for a few years now, but to jump up to executive producer is pretty huge, you know, work, you know. And it made sense for Batman, you know, with Ben Affleck because he did direct and produce before, but he knows that. I don't know if Margot Robbie's done that before. So, you know, maybe there'll be more of the Joker in here. You know, we don't know. You know, if they're going to have, if it's going to be a Harley Quinn story, then it might be a good idea to have more of those backstory to explain how she really became Harley Quinn. She got some of that.
Yeah, and the thing is that, obviously, I think that right now, they're both popular, Harley Quinn and Joker, but I think that Joker, at least from Suicide Squad, is the more fan favorite character.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of, you know, she was more in the movie than Joker, so it's, I don't know. I don't know if they're going to do like a Birds of Prey thing where they have her being on her own, or is this just more who she was before Harley Quinn, or what? I don't even know. There's so much there, you know. The Birds of Prey stuff, Harley was with, was it Poison Ivy, I think, and Batgirl?
Yeah.
And, you know, that was a TV show that didn't go anywhere, and I think people really liked the comics of it, you know, and they had a few episodes in the animated series of it, but I don't know how you can do that on screen. I don't know, but it seems really interesting that they have so much confidence in Margot Robbie to give her executive producer, you know. So,
then again, WB has made some terrible decisions.
Yeah, so, you know, it looks like they're getting their act together. You know, it looks like they're doing some interesting, different moves. You know, kind of keeping on with this, they did get confirmation from the higher-ups at the new head of DC that he is overlooking the movies, that the next movies will be more lighter and more funny in tone than Batman vs. Superman and Man of Steel. So those movies will be lighter, and, you know, they don't say it blatantly, but basically they're saying more like Marvel movies.
Well, okay, well, here's the problem. You have two sides to this. One, a lot of critics criticized Batman vs. Superman and Man of Steel for being too dark and being too serious. And while that is a problem, here's the thing. You're basically making DC when it's lighter and more funny and things, you're basically making a Marvel clone. You're making it more like Marvel. And so one thing I believe that they had an advantage over, or not an advantage, but at least a difference was the tone. That was the biggest difference you had from Man of Steel versus Iron Man, was they both could tell dark stories, but at the end of the day, they had very different tones. Now, I'm not really sure.
Yeah, that's a pretty good point, because the tone, is it still going to be in their more grounded, more darker tone, and, just more upbeat version of that, or if they're going to be totally 180 in their next movie?
Yeah.
Which would be Justice League, because they're filming that and editing that now. So that Justice League will actually be probably the first chance to really get to see how different things are. People are kind of thinking that Suicide Squad may have faltered because of last-minute issues they were trying to change up, but we don't know that for sure. But we do know for sure that Justice League is going to be in this new kind of vein, and every movie after Justice League will be more, higher, nicer tone and, different.
Yeah.
So we'll see next year.
And let's just say I want to bring this up because I'm actually kind of against what they've been hinting at or what they seem to be doing right now. So basically, they're releasing Justice League, but it's before most of the actual introduction films to the characters of Justice League are coming out. I don't really think that's a very smart move.
Mm-hmm.
Because with Marvel, at least, you had about, four films really to kind of introduce your main core people, whereas now really the only people that you have is Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. They're the only three that you covered. And all the rest of the characters are getting films, but it's all after Justice League.
Yes, absolutely.
Wouldn't it make more sense to have like all the major people like Flash and Flash and Aquaman and all those guys before Justice League?
Yes, I agree. I actually agree 100%. But of course, they're trying to get these movies out and they're rushing.
But that's a terrible idea.
I know.
Bad idea.
So yeah, instead of establishing the characters like Marvel did, they're just throwing them out there, and you figure you get some backstory in the movies, and you get more if you watch the individual movies, because some of the characters we just never seen in live action. So some of these people are watching, people watch Justice League, people may have never heard of Cyborg. And Flash, I think people know of, but he's never had his own movie. So,
really kind of obscure, a lot of these characters. So I think one problem is that they just kind of throw them in, and then just kind of expect you to know who they are.
At least Wonder Woman comes out next summer, in May, and Justice League comes out in November. So it may be that way, they're working that out, where, you get Wonder Woman beforehand, but you still got her thrown into Batman v Superman instead of, having her own movie first, So they're just trying to catch up, and it's kind of obvious. We'll see how they work out. Like you said, I think the biggest part is how jarring it's going to be to have characters that are not really explained on screen, and then people, I remember hearing that in China, not to overgeneralize, but I've heard people talk about Chinese audiences didn't understand Wonder Woman because they don't have a point of reference for her. And like, who's this Superwoman? Thinking that she's married to Superman. And not to offend any Chinese listeners or Asian listeners, it's just they didn't have that background. Where us, we know who Wonder Woman is.
They didn't have they couldn't explain it really.
and she was thrown into the movie. So people that don't know who the character is are kind of lost. And, especially being a totally different culture, not being all into Warner Brothers movies and, DC Comics, I understand it, So it's strange. It definitely is a strange way of doing things, so far, it's a little bit desperate, and, we still like the Marvel movies more than DC movies.
It's desperate and not very smart, and most likely going to cost them not money necessarily, because, I'm going to go to these films. I'm going to see them, probably, if I'm not overseas or in training or something. But, still, I'm just saying, like, they'll probably make money, but the critics will probably hate it.
Yeah, and that's part of it, too, that...
Like, when they make decisions like this, it's just like, oh, well, you're pretty much asking for a 30% or lower on Rotten Tomatoes.
Or, people not wanting to come back because they're kind of lost because they don't know these characters, and the Suicide Squad had some of this where all those characters are brand new, So,
yeah.
We'll see. So let's move on here. Let's go to some video game news here. We got some major news from Nintendo here that so this came out of nowhere. Apple recently released the iPhone 7 and announced it. Then that in between recording episode 49 and episode 50, this one right now. So during the press conference where Apple showcased the iPhone 7, they also showed off Super Mario Run. Oh yeah, Mario Run! Which no one knew was going to happen. When it comes to iPhone 7, I think most people heard the rumors and know pretty much everything that was going to happen before it came out or officially announced. But no one knew this was going to be. Miyamoto being on stage in the Apple event is pretty huge news. So Super Mario Run is not an endless runner, but it is an automatic runner. Remember, that's a key thing. There is an end to the levels. There is an endless mode, but it's supposed to be individual levels. And you don't directly control Mario. He just runs to the right, and you can just tap to make him jump. And then that's it. The whole point is to collect coins and...
these kind of things just get mentioned, like, oh yeah, there's going to be a mobile game.
And it's not coming out until December and on iOS and sometime next year on Android. So we don't know that for sure when next year, and we don't know exactly what December is. Is it going to be Christmas or whatever? Now, okay, what do you think of the idea of this, first of all?
It's weird.
I don't know if I really want a Mario game like this, because that's not what Mario is. It basically is like a watered-down version of Mario where you're actually not controlling him. You're just pushing the touchscreen to jump. So it's such a very basic version.
Yeah, and also endless runners aren't really Mario's thing.
Yeah. So it's just like, I don't know if I care enough. So being that Nintendo...
Mario's platforming, really, so...
Yeah. So these kind of games are like really played out on iOS as well. There's 1,000 of them, and there's, the gameplay did look a little bit different, that they're trying to actually have, more Mario being more, agile and jumping around more. But now the big question here, James, is how much is this thing going to cost?
I don't know.
Because, Nintendo did announce it at a big Apple event. So it's on iOS first. And, iPhone games are basically not known to be that expensive. You do have some outliers, like, Square Enix has Final Fantasy on there for like $20 or something. And, some other big games like Infinity Blade or whatever were like $10, $20 or something like that. But for the most part, the biggest games are free or $1. And I don't think Nintendo, I don't think Nintendo's going to put this out for $1.
Yeah, I can't really see them doing that.
So how much do you think, you're more in line to get phone games and, how much is too much?
Well, more than $10 or even more than $5, I think is too much.
Now, how much do they said they're going to have like a demo version that's free that you can play with just to get the feel for it, and you get the real game. It's going to cost more. Now, it's just one of those things because this is Nintendo's biggest property. This is a smaller game franchise like F-Zero. I love F-Zero. Don't get me wrong. I really like that game. But, it's a big deal. So you kind of think that they're not going to charge multiple times either. There's no DLC. There's no, none of that crap where if you want Mario to jump higher, you have to give him another $1. No. you know that kind of garbage that's on there right now. You
mean microtransactions?
Yeah, so it's not going to have those. Nintendo said when you buy the game, it's done. You get everything. So you don't have to, nickel and dime everything. I'm kind of thinking $9.99 is what they're going to put it out for. And the demo is going to be, what do you think?
And the thing is, people are just going to buy this because it's Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a problem because Nintendo's always had this problem where it's like, hey, look at our brand, now buy.
Yeah. They did make a big deal that's going to be a one-handed game, so you don't have to hold the system, to hold your iPhone. You just tap it, and that's it. Just tap it at the right time. And I think $10 is high, but I think that's the most they can get away with it. And they want more people to play it. It may be like an introductory thing where like the first month is, $5 and then it goes up to 10 or something like that, kind of thing. But like, Nintendo's out for money. So you're not going to just put it out for $1. I can't imagine that. And of course I couldn't imagine they were doing this anyway. So who knows? But I mean, they don't want to devalue Mario. Mario is their bread and butter, So it's a new 2D Mario game, sort of. Automatically runs, and you don't have to control him, but you get to push the win button, make him jump. So whatever. Now, in the press release for Mario, they did mention some other interesting phone news. Nintendo said that the Fire Emblem and the Animal Crossing games have been delayed till next year. So we're not going to get that this year. So it's going to be Mario Run. It's going to be the only Nintendo game on iOS the rest of the year. Not really including Pokemon Go, which they just released Pokemon Go. What is it? The Elite Edition? No, the Plus Edition with the little adapter thing for your, arm with. And then they did show off a version of Pokemon Go for the Apple Watch. So that's something. But, yeah, kind of interesting. I was not expecting this announcement, and I was not really expecting much out of it. More from Nintendo coming, considering that you get Super Mario Maker for the 3DS and you get Mario Run for iOS, you can still see who they're playing toward, who they're pandering to 3DS owners, not to iOS. It's not a real Mario game.
Yeah, the iPhone or the games on the phone will never be real Nintendo games.
Yeah, I think that's what I mentioned, too, before, that it's going to be their, watered-down versions. It's not going to be their real version, their quote-unquote, real game, You're not going to be seeing Legend of Zelda, what is it, Breath of the Wild on iPhone 7, That's not going to happen. There's no way you can hold that thing. But
also, that would be beyond terrible.
Yeah. So, yeah, and people are upset about Android getting, later on. Now, okay, Android is interesting because more people have Android than iPhones right now. Android of some kind. It's kind of splintered. Not everyone has the most powerful Android. Not everyone has a Samsung Note 4 or Galaxy 7S or 6S, 7, whatever.
Yeah.
So, and then there's a lot of statistics showing that Android has a lot less people that are actually willing to pay for games. That a lot more people are willing to pirate on Android. So you can kind of see a lot more hesitation toward Nintendo. Obviously they're a big market, so they're going to put them on there. But you could obviously see that they're going to put it on iOS first because they're more likely to get money from them.
Yeah. And the thing with Android though is that I've seen like emulators and things being done.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Piracy. Yeah. Well, you do have emulators and stuff on iOS, but it's not as big of a deal. Like you have to really know someone and really kind of hack your iPhone to do it, and it's a lot easier on Android.
Yeah.
And Nintendo also put out Super Mario Run stickers for the new version of Messages, of iMessage, where you could actually put like Mario icons on your actual text messages. So that's actually available right now for free, which is actually really good of them. iOS 10 has these stickers that you could put onto your messages and or little gifts and play games. And iMessage is really big changes in iOS 10, and having these Mario on there right now is a really big deal, and it's really nice to have. You could have a little sticker of Mario that is sitting down, and you could put that sticker onto a text message you sent someone, right now, and it's free. And that's good marketing. That's, there's quite a few of these stickers, on there, and some of them cost $1, some of them cost $2, but this is free, it's marketing, and this is smart stuff. You don't get that many, but you get some. And, I understand why they're doing this. I think Apple probably got them a deal to have, on iOS first,
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Now, let's keep going here. We got some kind of weird PlayStation news where Sony had their big press conference like a week ago. Did you hear about this?
No, I did not.
Okay, so they showed off the PlayStation 4 Pro, which everyone was assuming was going to be the next system, and it's not. It is basically the PlayStation 4 with, additional, slightly improved things, but it doesn't have a HD or 4K Blu-ray player, but it has 4K support. Anyway, it also does have VR. It makes the VR experience smoother. So if you have the PlayStation Pro, which comes out in November, the frame rate will be better on virtual reality games. And so this PlayStation Pro VR is going to come out with 18 games on a demo for the U.S. and only 8 games on a demo for Europe. So, that's kind of messed up that Europe's getting 10 less demos, But, hey, at least it comes with a demo package of 18 games.
Yeah, I think because Europe kind of gets screwed over for one.
So, I still give them credit for having a nice demo that size. That's a pretty good, thing there. And, that's pretty good. I think VR is really going to start taking off this year. I think the PS VR is going to be a pretty decent success, I think. There's some big games coming out for it, and I think with the Pro PS4, it's going to play better. It's just kind of strange that Xbox and Microsoft released the Xbox One S that has the 4K Blu-ray, and the PS4 Pro doesn't have 4K Blu-ray, and it costs the same. It's just kind of messed up that they have these systems out there. But hey, it's virtual reality. It's the future of 3D, like I used to say. So now, talking about virtual reality and a little bit about Apple, Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple, said that he thinks augmented reality will be a bigger deal than virtual reality, and he's betting on that. Now, what do you think? Do you think augmented reality is going to be a bigger deal, or no?
Okay, well, I actually disagree with this statement because, while augmented reality is cool and all, it's cool. I think that when virtual reality takes off, it's going to be a lot bigger. And I think that's because you're more immersed in it than you are in augmented reality.
Now, to anyone listening that don't know when we're talking about augmented reality, we're talking about like Pokemon Go, where you have the little Pokemon run around in the real world in your phone, and it's something, a screen shows you augments reality. It gives you something that's digital in the real world. Nintendo did this on the 3DS with the little AR cards.
This is one of the AR cards that comes included with the Nintendo 3DS system. When you look at the card through the Nintendo 3DS outer cameras, you'll see things that are not really there. AR games and the AR cards present an amazing augmented reality gaming experience, available to play right out of the box.
I don't know if you ever played those games, James, or no. Like you put like a little card on the table, and it has like a question mark on it. And if you put your 3DS over it, you could play a little mini game on there. And you could, do fishing, or you could play, have little Mario characters there pop up. You know what I'm talking about on 3DS?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
So it's been around. AR has been around. Pokemon Go is probably the biggest application of it, but it really hasn't taken off. It's just been, okay, it's kind of interesting. And virtual reality, I think this is the time for it. I think virtual reality is going to be a lot more expensive than AR because, augmented reality is relatively cheap. You could do this on, a couple-year-old device, where virtual reality really needs some high specs, some heavy hub processors, and, I guess technically speaking, I kind of think augmented reality, I kind of agree with Tim Cook that it might be bigger, but I think it's not as important. I think virtual reality is more important, and I think in the long term, virtual reality will be bigger. Maybe in the short term, augmented reality may be, because it's cheaper to do, but I think in the long term, virtual is going to be way more important. I think in 10, 15 years,
That's what I was trying to get across. Like, there maybe in the close future, augmented reality will be, more popular, but when there will be a specific point, and that is whenever virtual reality becomes mainstream, where it surpasses augmented reality because it's more detailed,
Mm-hmm. And I think, to an extent, virtual has really started to come around. I think, like, certain things, we don't even imagine it to be virtual reality, but in a way it is. I think a good example is Google Maps and how you have the street view. You could look around and see how things are, and, that's a basic version of virtual reality, that you're not really there, but you're kind of able to look around in full 360 degrees. You know what I mean? So, that's a...
And like, the ability to travel to certain places, to see sites in the world that, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So, it's interesting. I like, you could probably do both. Virtual reality can mix in there with augmented reality, and obviously maybe we'll get to a day where the Matrix, where we don't know we're in virtual reality or not, and they augment our reality so well that we're confused, kind of thing. But I like the idea that both of these things are starting to come along now, and holograms, are starting to become more mainstream, where it wasn't mainstream before. I mean, for God's sakes, there's a movie that just came out. I watched it on Netflix to make a king. It's Tom Hanks, and he's trying to sell a hologram to the king of Saudi Arabia. And it's not really far-fetched future. It actually is possible right now. Holographic projections of 3D, persons is something that is happening right now. Not just with Tupac, and it's starting to go around, and that's pretty cool. Holograms, are part of this, augmented reality, 3D, next world stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to go, it will extend from just the normal, Michael Jackson or whatever. It'll get more popular than that.
Okay. So let's move on. So director of Avatar, James Cameron, recently talked about Avatar sequels and Terminator. So he did really briefly mention that the Avatar sequels will be about the family, and it's a very basic interview we have today. He just said that, it's a struggle of humans living with Na'vi, and he really didn't go into it. So, that's basically it, which is all straightforward. And, he's saying that he didn't have technology back then to make Avatar. It took him years, and that's what's taking so long for Avatar 2 and 3, is that it's taking him so much time to get the, syncing and the animation and everything up to par. Yeah. So, sure. What do you think about it being about a family thing? Or what does that mean? What do you think?
Well, it means that they're going for a much more traditional, by the books approach to a sequel.
Mm.
Which, I mean, if it's well written, that's fine, but this kind of thing has been done a billion times.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know. Yes, me, they should have done more with the Avatar concept. The idea of going into becoming another species, basically.
Yeah, I guess, that's a continuation of that, because how do you really, so what if you're in someone else's body? If you don't really understand their culture, how they interact, you're not really them. Yeah. They kind of mention that in the movie, in Avatar, but it's, if they keep going with that, I guess that's a good idea for Avatar 2 and 3 and 4 or whatever. And so he did say that Terminator 2 3D is going to come out next year, and we got some good news with that. I think we talked about Terminator 2 3D before, but we didn't know when that was going to happen. I think it just came out in China, but it wasn't clear if it was going to come out here. And he said that the same 3D conversion that Jurassic Park had, the same company that helped make Avatar 3D, is going to be doing Terminator 2 3D conversion. And that got me really excited, because I don't know if you had a chance to see Jurassic Park 3D. Did you, or no?
No.
It looks fantastic. And, first of all, Jurassic Park's a classic. The original Jurassic Park is a great movie. And how they converted that to 3D, it looks like it was shot in 3D. It looks so good that when I saw it, I was like, man, it just blew me away, because that's probably one of the best conversion 3Ds I've ever seen, because it just looks so good. It really got you into the movie, and, you can hear little kids screaming because the raptors are jumping out at them, and, it wasn't never meant to be in 3D, and they made it work. So if that's gonna people that are gonna make Terminator 2 in 3D, sign me up. I was 100% for this before, and now I'm day one watch Terminator 2 in 3D because I love Terminator 2, and if they know how to do their 3D right, it's gonna be great. Now, don't get confused with the Terminator 2, the next part, the 3D experience in Universal Studios, because there was a ride, right? Or have you been to that?
Yes.
It's pretty cool. I really like it.
Yeah.
Like they have like a water jet shoot out water at you, and they have lasers, and it's a pretty cool experience. I don't know if the Universal Studios still does that, but when I went to it, man, it was like 15 years ago. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So that's actually considered canon, I think. So
you mean that ride, like the events?
Yeah, 'cause all the characters are in there, and everything is written and officially done. So we'll see. Now,
well, Terminator canon is kind of a mess because, like, I don't know if they're gonna reboot like it or something soon.
So that's kind of interesting you mentioned that, because Terminator, the last one that came out last year, which was Genesis. I thought it was a dumb movie. I liked it, even though it was dumb as dirt.
Yeah.
It kind of bombed here, and
yeah.
people weren't sure if that was the end of the franchise. And unfortunately, depending on your opinion of the movie, it actually did pretty well in China. So they're thinking that it might be getting a sequel. Just gotta see. But it did well enough that I think, they're reconsidering making the movie. But I think it might be too late. I don't know. It's kind of up in the air. But
all I know is that what's going to happen, or what the original person who's in charge, or who wrote it, James Cameron, will get the rights back to Terminator soon.
So I would love for him to just, reboot it himself.
Yeah, because I don't think that the 3 through 5 were done by him.
No. He had nothing to do with those.
Maybe that's why they're so bad.
Yeah. I mean, Genesis is kind of a more like a guilty pleasure than an actual, I can really like that movie. I just think it's a fun, dumb movie. And 3, I liked how 3 ended, but like half of the 3 is just stupid, absolute trash. And then I really hated the 4th one. What is it?
Yeah.
When he's like
Salvation.
Yeah, I hated that one. I thought it was really just badly done. So it's been mostly bad, movies since 2.
The best part about Salvation was the arcade game. That's the best part about it. You've seen that arcade game, right?
No, I don't think so.
It's the Terminator game where you shoot the Terminators with the guns.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Have you ever played that? I have.
No, it's cool.
Yeah, it's fun.
So,
but other than that, yeah, it sucks.
So, kind of talking about Jurassic Park, we got confirmation now that, remember Jurassic World, or at least, so, they're making a sequel because they made $1 billion last year.
Yeah.
So, now they're confirming that it's a trilogy.
I don't know how it's going to be a trilogy. How? Like, what? They're going to be an overarching story, or whatever?
The kids' parents are going to get, so they're not going to get divorced after all.
the kids are going to help by writing a letter to the store.
And somehow, the parents of the kids that didn't get divorced, they're going to have another kid, and they'll take it to the next one. Yeah, I don't know.
Write a letter to the storks, and then the machine is going to make the baby.
Oh, don't you spoil Storks. It hasn't come out yet. After
Do they really care?
So I have to put the spoilers tag on this podcast now.
We're going to have to say warning stork spoilers at the beginning of the show.
Okay, we're just kidding around because we both kind of agree that Jurassic World was not a good movie. It was dumb. It was kind of fun, but it was not good.
Okay, but it was... No. Jurassic World was good on, like, a lot of levels. And by a lot of levels, I mean, like, the 3D was good, and some of the ideas were really cool. And that final scene is excellent. The dinosaur fight scene? That was really cool. Like, it was super cool, actually. And probably one of I would argue, the most memorable line or the most memorable scene from a Jurassic Park sequel, by far.
So, okay. Maybe the dinosaurs have feathers now? Maybe, they've been, that could be an idea. Have them give them feathers, finally,
How about, I really like this idea, how about it's not a park anymore? How about, like, the dinosaurs actually start invading the real world?
Like
ruckus.
Yeah, they kind of played with that idea at the end of Jurassic Park.
They kind of played with that idea too, and they kind of hinted at that in 3, where at the very end there was like some pterodactyls or whatever, they were flying away, and it's like, where are they going? And it's like, I guess they're going somewhere else. So I mean, it kind of hints to the fact that there are, pterodactyls somewhere in the world. So I with the name Jurassic World, how about the new one that is like in Africa?
Oh, James, I just remember something. Do you remember the original ideas for Jurassic World?
Oh yeah. What was it again?
Oh God. Oh my God.
Oh, you mean like the Jurassic humans?
Yes.
The reptilians?
The half human, half dinosaurs.
Why not bring those back?
Oh God, that was horrible.
Why?
Terrible. They're just like stupid idea. Like, I don't have any ideas, so they're just half human, half dinosaur.
Okay, well here's what the film would be about. They clone some dinosaur humans, and then they're wondering, wait a second, these dinosaur humans have feelings, and they have rights too. And so the entire film is about the conflict of legalizing and freeing the dinosaur humans.
And then they can tie all back to the lizard people and be like, oh, the lizard people were here first, and, have a big conspiracy theory.
And then President Obama takes his skin off.
That there were chariots of fire that came into the sky. That these beings got out of them, and they walked like a man, but they had reptilian features. They had snake-like eyes, a tail, and scales, right? And they were here, and they made slaves out of the people. And where they landed in is what the Bible calls Garden of Eden. They were trying to inbreed with the people here. The women would die, the babies would abort. But after 2,000 years, they started taking. The babies started being born and living. And they had tails, they had a few reptilian features on them. They could phase shift from one dimension to another dimension. And the people who know say it's from the 4th dimension, it's the next dimension. Space is expanding. There's spirits coming from the center, right? We're going counterclockwise. There's supposed to be 8 other universes going counterclockwise, and that's called super universe. And love's always been the message. It's just, circumstances happen, right? People freak out.
And he's a lizard man the whole time. Because you know the lizard people have been in like 100 conspiracy theories forever now.
Yeah. I heard something really crazy like Vladimir Putin yesterday or the other day before that briefly mentioned how lizards control the government or something. I was laughing.
Yeah, you can have super intelligent velociraptors running for Congress or something, and
for anyone who don't know, the original idea for Jurassic World was that they would fuse humans and dinosaurs together.
They could always get, I guess, back some of the characters that were in the original Jurassic Park,
Yeah, and I mean,
the kids. Whatever happened to the kids?
Yeah, whatever happened to the kids? Did their parents get divorced?
No one cares about them being divorced.
How about we center the entire film around that? Like, it's a family drama, and that has nothing to do with dinosaurs.
We just spoiled Jurassic World for anyone that didn't watch it last year. It's all about the divorce of the kids, of their parents. Nobody cares about the throwaway lines. Just like, who cares? What's going on?
It's like the dinosaurs and all that, and you're talking about getting divorced. Like, what the fuck is going on here?
And the whole thing is just, the Jurassic World is so ridiculous that, oh yeah, we know everything that happened before, so we're going to repeat it and do it again. So stupid. So I don't know how they're going to make this into a trilogy. I really don't know how they're going to make it into a second movie. I don't know. I mean, obviously, it doesn't make any sense, James, because the dinosaurs, they need to eat specific things because they evolved millions of years ago to eat specific kind of things, and they just can't eat anything because their digestive system doesn't work unless they, put a line in dialogue that somehow or another the science made it that they work. You know what I'm saying? No, they couldn't just eat anything because they'll just throw it up and they can't digest it because the plants and animals that are existing right now are dramatically different than they were millions of years ago. But that's science. They don't need real science in these movies.
Well, actually, they explained it by saying that they're crossed with frogs, so everything's fine.
Oh, yes, I forgot about that, where the frogs are transgenders that can just literally transmutate between men and female because they're frogs, whatever.
Yes. It's also the reason why they have scales, because frogs are reptiles.
Yeah, that's your box quote. Transgender dinosaurs.
I have a bathroom issue now.
Oh, we're having too much fun with Jurassic World. This is just too much. This is just insanity we're talking about. Let's move on. Okay.
We went right off the rails with this one.
It's good for episode 50. All right. Let's get this back in here. So we got a rumor here for a villain for Wolverine 3.
Dr. Sinister, Mr. Sinister.
Yes. So Mr. Sinister is actually a really cool villain in the X-Men universe, and it's about time they finally use him.
I mean, is he going to look like himself, or is he just going to look like a normal human? I don't know.
That's a good question, because Mr. Sinister looks really out there. He looks like a vampire.
Yeah, he kind of looks like a dot, kind of, because he's got the pale and the black lipstick and the eyebrows, and he's got like a red thing.
Yeah.
And he looks really distinct, and I think it would kind of take away from his character if they just made him look like a normal guy.
Yeah, he wears a blue suit and he has a red cape, but this cape is all shredded, and he has a diamond in his forehead.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
and he's also a telepath. That's like his psychic ability. So,
okay, so
that's his mutant power.
yeah, he's a master manipulator and planner, superhuman strength and durability, genius-level intellect, regenerative healing factor, telepathy, molecular manipulation, shape-shifting, virtual immunity to injury, energy projection via telekinesis, teleportation via tesseract, headquarters prolonged longevity. Okay, that's his powers. So basically,
and so, you know, this is, you know, I think that Wolverine 3, honestly, I know it isn't. Wolverine 3 should be the end of the Fox universe. It should. It should say, this is where we end. You know? Because Hugh Jackman is going to quit for legit at the end of Wolverine 3.
That's true. And the whole, you know, I actually like that idea, James, because seriously, Wolverine has been the icon for the X-Men movies. He was there from the beginning, and this is a good way to end it. And considering that, you know, honestly, X-Men Apocalypse kind of was a bomb, you kind of could justify it and say, you know what, let's end it with this. And Deadpool is its own universe, whatever. Deadpool can do whatever he wants. And that actually makes sense for Deadpool because Deadpool is its own, literally fourth wall breaking anything he wants to do.
Yeah.
So,
you know, Deadpool does not, you know, they should completely explain that Deadpool is his own universe. You know, it goes by its own continuity. Because, you know, the Deadpool from that film is certainly different from the Deadpool we saw in X-Men Origins.
And, you know, he could just, you know, Deadpool could just BS some line saying, oh, yeah, I had a headache, you know, that, you know, or something like that where this is a vision of Deadpool or something, you know, he could just make it totally screwy and mess it up, and it's okay because Deadpool is that way. So, yeah, okay, so Mr. Sinister, he's very good at manipulating people and, like, you know, talking them into doing things they don't really want to do. And to make him a villain of Wolverine is interesting because Wolverine doesn't really have a really strong will, like willpower, you know. He has, you know, strong physical attributes, but willpower, his mind, could, you know, not that hard to crack, you know. Yeah, so maybe Mr. Sinister makes Wolverine do something that he really is goes crazy, you know. He can't control himself, and he kills some people, and, you know, he's trying to redeem himself, and maybe he kills himself at the end or something or other. I don't know. But I like the idea of having a new villain because X-Men really have gotten, you know, a little bit too obsessed with Magneto. I mean, I like Magneto, but it's every movie's Magneto.
Yeah. So, I mean, personally, what they should have done what they should do is end it, like, have, like, a fine finale or something, and then that's it. That's the end of the X-Men Fox universe.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah. And then they can make a deal with Marvel, and then they can come back later. I don't know when, but later.
Okay. So, you know, we've been trying to do, you know, top 3 3D movies of last week. And, you know, it's the 50th episode, so let's change it up. What do you think the top 3 3D movies are for the entire year of 2016?
How about, I'd say, The Jungle Book.
Mm-hmm.
What else? Okay, Jungle Book, Suicide Squad, and so, I don't know.
Okay, Jungle Book is number 3, so I'll give you that. That's a third, and that's a 3D movie, and I actually think it's a great movie and great 3D. So the next one is an animated movie. I'll let you guess that one. It's that's your clue that's animated. What do you think it is?
Animated movie that came out in 2016. I don't know.
All right, I'll tell you. Zootopia.
Zootopia? Oh, yeah.
So, I actually really like Zootopia. I don't remember the 3D being all that interesting, but the movie itself is pretty good. And considering that's a new franchise and being the number 2 movie of this year, number 2, and not just of this, number 2 3D movie, it's number 2 period as well, which this isn't, this worldwide, 1, 2, 3 is all 3D movies. So, what do you think the number 1 3D movie and overall 3D movie was of 2016 worldwide? Number 1.
I
bet you can guess this.
Man, how about Ghostbusters?
No Ghostbusters. Okay.
What is it?
Captain America 3: Civil War.
Whoa! Really?
Number 1 movie of this year worldwide with 1,152,760,241 to be exact. Right now, I just got that from Box Office Mojo, and that's 3D movie, and it's number 1. So it's over $1 billion and change. And so.
And look at that. Look at how the Marvel Cinematic Universe always decimates everyone in its path. Like, other films do well, like, okay, Deadpool did well, and, Man of Steel, Batman vs. Superman did okay, and Suicide Squad went okay, but none of them match the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
So here's the numbers. Domestically made $408 million. Overseas it made $744 million.
Yeah.
And just to round off the top 5 movies, just for the heck of it, Finding Dory is number 4 with $961 million. And Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice, number 5 with $873 million. So here's a very, very important point, James. Number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4 all owned by Disney.
Yep.
So that's massive. That's just 4 top movies, and 2 of them are over $1 billion. And then the other 2 are very close to $1 billion. Are all from one movie studio, Disney. That's huge. And all of these movies are in 3D. So don't cry to me about 3D being not that big a deal anymore, because the top 5 movies had a 3D option. So I thought that was a really interesting thing to mention. Secret Life of Pets is number 6, Deadpool 7, Suicide Squad 8, and something called The Mermaid is number 9. I've never even heard of that one. X-Men Apocalypse number 10. So, that's way down there, but still, a vast majority of these movies are in 3D, and it's interesting to see that Captain America: Civil War is number 1, worldwide. This is not just America; this is the entire world, and I thought it would be interesting, for episode 50 look back, since right now there's not that many 3D movies that are really that hot right now. It's kind of been a slow September, so I didn't want to mention, that, but I thought it would be interesting. Now, Disney did actually show off a new trailer for Moana, the new, I guess, Pacific Islander movie. Apparently this is not based on a specific island story. It's more of like a collaboration of different stories from the Pacific Islands. And it looks good. I think it looks pretty good. a strong female protagonist, and she actually control the actual ocean, and there's a bigger demonic villain, and they're trying to save the people, and it looks good. I'm not sure why they are really focusing on a chicken being a little, I don't know, sub character, but whatever. It looks good. It's a good movie. So let's wrap things up, James. Oh, we have one more interesting story. So 3D printing helps conjoined twins. Did you hear about this story? Oh. So the conjoined twins, they were born, and it's incredibly hard to separate these, poor individuals that are born this way. And now, using 3D printing, they're able to really get a grasp of how the organs are, and like they 3D print them, and they can like play with them, and really sense how the best way of taking it apart would be, because it actually is in your hands when you 3D print these things. And you really get a good sense of how the models are and how everything works inside the bodies. And, it's a really successful story of 3D printing really helping change two, small children's lives. I think they're still infants, but I think it's really fascinating that, something like 3D printing that no one really thought was a big deal until the last few years is making a big deal, Yeah. All right, so let's finish off with some listener mail. We haven't gone to the listener mail bag in a long time. So I actually asked for this on Twitter, and I got some response here. So let me go through here and see which would be a good question to do. What do you think would be good? I think this one from Nicholas Rautier. I don't know how to pronounce your last name, so I'm sorry, Nick. So Nick is actually on Twitter and follows me, and he actually is a professional 3D expert, per se. So he's asked a question. What do you think about Billy Lynn's long halftime walk is intended to be in 4K 3D format with the laser projection? Where could I see this movie? So that's a really good question, because it's filmed in 4K, filmed in 3D, and it's supposed to be done with lasers. So where could you see this movie? James, do you know any theaters that could have this kind of setup?
Nope, I don't think so.
Now, okay, have you seen the trailer for Billy Lynn's halftime?
No.
Okay, so it's actually a pretty interesting trailer. Billy Lynn's long halftime walk. It's, I think, a fictional portrayal of a character named Billy Lynn who served in Iraq. And apparently there's a story of him being heroic in Iraq, and it makes a big deal with the press, and he has like a big halftime show production, I guess, in Super Bowl. I haven't read the book. It's based on a book that came out a few years ago. I don't think it's based on real events. But the movie itself, is supposed to be a pretty political but serious, almost Oscar kind of worthy kind of movie, where it looks like, at least from the impression I get from the trailer, that maybe what he did in Iraq wasn't really a heroic thing, but the media has spun it to make it heroic, so he doesn't know what to do, which actually is a good story, because sometimes things can, get out of hand. And so they shot this movie in 4K 3D, and it's pretty interesting. So I think the first thing to think about is, do you have a Cinemark XD theater near you?
Nope.
Because I don't know if have you heard about XD?
No.
So the actual closest Cinemark to where I live actually offers it, and they have 4K, and they do have 3D in that 4K format. And these are supposed to be, giant screens, so it's like basically their IMAX. So it's a giant screen, it's 4K, and now they retrofitted it to have like sofas and, recliners in that theater. So it's super comfy, super luxurious theaters. And there's a few of these nationwide, So if you do have a Cinemark XD, then that might be a very plausible place to go see it. Now, there is some 4K places around, that do have them. IMAX, I think, some IMAX theaters may be able to do that, and I think IMAX is a lot more prevalent around the world than XD Cinemark. Obviously, Cinemark XD costs more money. So, I remember I actually watched Amazing Spider-Man 2 in 3D in XD, and it did look really sharp. And, it probably wasn't the best way to experience that epicness in, for not that great of a movie, but whatever, But, yeah, if you have a Cinemark XD, X like an X-ray, you might be able to watch this movie when it comes out in full 4K X 3D, and it should look really good. I don't know what the laser projection, I don't know about that. That might be a bridge too far. You may only have like one or two theaters around the world that have that laser projection, but I think 4K is starting to come around, and you just may have to look around to 4K theaters. They don't seem to be advertised, that much yet. So some of them are, and you just don't know it until you go there. So, I think that's a very basic answer to that. I wish I could give you more, but I definitely appreciate this letter, Nick, and I definitely appreciate, you writing in and being a follower on Twitter. Nick, he is, I think, an expert on the actual real 3D in movies, not the fake 3D that a lot of movies have, like it actually filmed in 3D. So he prefers that, which, I, prefer that too, but not many movies are going to be, unfortunately, filmed that way, unfortunately. So, yeah, we got some listener mail, and at the very end, we always have, listener mail if you want to email us during the credits. So we definitely want more listener mail, and we'll try to answer these, as we can. Obviously, XD, Cinemark theaters are not going to be everywhere, but it's at least a start. And it looks like it's going to be actually a pretty good movie. And it's going to be more of a drama, which is good. I look forward to more movies, 3D movies, being more than just action or cartoons. They can make dramas. They can make serious movies out of 3D, and it can work really well. And I think it just depends how they use it. Last year, one of my favorite movies of last year was The Walk, which was a 3D movie about Philip, forget the last name, and he walked in between the Twin Towers, and the 3D in that movie was great. Like, you really got a good sense of 3D depth, because as he was walking on the tightrope across the Twin Towers, you really get a good sense of vertigo, and you really got to, put on the edge of your seat because how good that 3D was. So it doesn't have to be in action movies or animated movies. It could be well done in dramas and comedies and anything. So, definitely look forward to more uses of 3D in the future. So that's going to be basically it for this episode 50 of That's 3D Show.
Yeah, see you guys in 51.
51. Depending on scheduling, it may not be every week now because James has college now. So, might be every other week. Just depends on our schedule. So, So, yeah, that's going to be it. Bye.
Bye.
All right, so that's going to wrap up this podcast.
Remember to like, comment, favorite, subscribe, love, whatever. Heart it, be something.
3D or 2D.com can be found on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher Radio, and SoundCloud. And if you want to send us email, our email address is email3dortwo@gmail.com. And thank you again for listening. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye, everyone.